Hello and welcome to this edition of Planet Hope, the programme dedicated to the UN Millennium Development Goals. Combating disease is goal number 6, and malaria kills 750,000 people a year. Today we're going to head to western Cambodia, where a mutation of the mosquito-borne disease is becoming more and more resistant to treatment. But nevertheless, Cambodia has set itself the seemingly impossible task of eradicating malaria by 2025. Our reporters Aurore Dupuis and Valérie Labonne went to Cambodia's most remote villages, where most of the population are living on less than $1 a day.
Tested for malaria. Kon Rachni is 2 years old. She's been sick for 3 days, fever reaching 40 degrees. Like her, dozens of Cambodian villagers are queuing up for a blood test, all suspected of having malaria. A parasite particularly dangerous in this part of the world, as it's become immune to treatments.
We live so far away. Travelling from here is a nightmare, and we don't have any money to get to the hospital.
We're 8 hours away from the capital, Phnom Penh, one of the most remote and poor places in Cambodia. Bumpy roads, surrounded by landmines left over from the civil war. Reaching the area is tricky. Several people have died along the way, too weak to make the journey to the nearest doctor. In a bid to exterminate malaria, local NGOs have teamed up with the World Health Organization, setting up prevention measures. Every month, 300 families are called in to this temple to learn about the disease. Mostly women who have never set foot in a school.
Please bring your old nets to be soaked. Our village is threatened by malaria.
Chan Kolap has volunteered to educate fellow villagers about the much-feared insect that's earned a new nickname.
The nail mosquito, the female, transmits malaria.
So far, nearly 3,000 volunteers have been trained, a pilot project that's helped drop the death toll. In the early 90s, more than 1,000 Cambodians died of malaria every year. But since 2009, no deaths have been reported.
It's a success. I'm so proud because now people can avoid death row.
After the theory course comes the practical work. Time to soak up their mosquito nets with insecticide. In the waiting line, Yan Un. She's already caught malaria twice. Her family's also been affected.
My son-in-law's got malaria, so I've come here to learn more about the disease and to soak my mosquito net.
At 79, Un is the oldest villager. Over the years, she's changed her mindset. Like her, many locals have become less superstitious.
When they get sick, fever and chill, they don't think about the malaria because they believe maybe the spirit from the forest or the ghost from the forest that make them sick. And for now, I think that most people, they change their behavior, their attitude, because we provide education to them very clearly.
Un lives with her daughter and her 8 grandchildren deep into the cornfields. No transport, no electricity, no drinkable water. The only breadwinner is Un's son-in-law. He works in the mountains cutting wood and growing crops. But he's been ill for 2 weeks, losing his meager income of $3 a day.
He went to the hospital in Pei Lin and he found out he had malaria and a stomach bug. They gave him some medicine and he took it, but he still had a fever. His entire body was covered in sweat. He had headaches, his joints and neck hurt, and he had sore eyes.
When I took the medicine, I felt better, but soon afterwards I felt awful again.
The 3-day treatment wasn't enough to kill the parasite. In western Cambodia, the disease seems to resist every available drug. It's almost impossible to get rid of malaria. Un says her immune system is perhaps not strong enough.
I caught malaria too. I'm okay now, but I had a relapse because of the lack of nutrition, and the entire family keeps falling sick as well.
6:30 p.m. The sun sets. Infected mosquitoes come out to bite. Only 3 mosquito nets for 10 people. These nets were distributed 3 years ago, and it's starting to show.
That's the net from this morning, but it's broken.
A few meters away, in a somewhat more developed area, the village chief offers help to anyone with malaria symptoms. NGOs provided her with a test kit, allowing her to diagnose the disease straight away and give patients the appropriate treatment. However, her kit is way past the expiry date. Did you know this was expired?
This box? Oh, it's an old box. I keep it to store things, but my kit's expired anyway. I haven't received new supplies in a month.
Western Cambodia is the only region in the world, along with parts of South America, where malaria is drug-resistant. In the capital Phnom Penh, scientists are looking for a solution. There's no vaccine available yet. A single drug is not enough to kill the parasite, so doctors have to use a combined treatment instead. But that too is starting to fail.
What we're seeing at the moment is that parasites are becoming resistant to drugs based on artemisinin, which are the most effective treatments. The most important threat is that these parasites travel to Africa, as has happened in the past, and that would lead to the death of millions of people.
The race to contain the so-called super mosquito is on. According to researchers, drug resistance could be due to the mutation of the parasite, genetic differences with the Asian population, or to the use of bad treatments. To prevent resistance, Cambodian authorities banned monotherapy and, above all, dealt with the rampant sale of fake drugs. Inspections are regularly carried out in illegal chemists that mushroomed in various markets.
If they sell counterfeits, we issue them 2 warnings. And if, during the 3rd inspection, they're still selling fake pills, we can shut down the pharmacy.
No longer allowed to sell random drugs, chemists now have to direct patients to the nearest health centre. But conditions there are not ideal. Run down, unhygienic, public hospitals have such a bad reputation that most Cambodians would rather stay at home or go to a private clinic if they can afford it. Eng Chorn nearly died of malaria. He rode his motorbike, shaking and close to having a road accident. When he finally reached the public hospital 20 kilometers away, he was ignored by the staff. His sister had to visit him every day to feed him. She witnessed corruption in the ward corridors.
We're poor. We don't have any money, so the doctor didn't look after my brother properly. He only checked on him once, but he saw the other patients, the wealthier people, 2 or 3 times a day. I saw them secretly stuff money into the staff's pockets.
The difference between public and private hospitals is striking. Doctors working in the public sector earn 4 times less than others. Such low salaries often lead to bribes, they say. The government admits the entire health system needs a boost, start from scratch after decades of civil war. Despite the difficulties, authorities vowed to eradicate malaria by 2025, a real challenge.
Hospitals have asked for scanners, X-ray machines. These cost a lot of money and the government can't afford it. We'd like to buy all that equipment, but it's impossible. There's a lack of cash.
The Cambodian government faces a deadline. By the end of this year, the World Health Organization will have completed its anti-malaria project. It will be up to the Ministry of Health to take over. It will rely on international donors to fund its campaign. Donors reportedly at war with the pharmaceutical industry.
We're entirely dependent on a funding source that we have no control over. For commercial competitive reasons, we're supposed to carry out tenders that ensure that the cheapest test is obtained, or the best value for money. There's been a dispute over how they're procured with Global Fund.
No cash, no access to rural areas, no treatment to fight the mutating parasite. A drug-resistant malaria that will be tough to contain within Southeast Asia. Travellers worldwide could spread the disease in Africa, a potential humanitarian crisis.
Well, that's it for this edition of Planet Hope. Thank you very much for watching. More news coming up shortly. Do stay tuned to France 24.